Thank you, Patrick. I have the additional honor of introducing the valedictorian for the class of 2016, Dan Tardiff, the son of Thayer's valedictorian in 1976 and the brother of our valedictorian in 2013. One could argue that Dan was destined to achieve this distinction. But there has not been 1 ounce of presumption in the profound intellectual curiosity that has fueled his remarkable academic achievements. Dan has taken honors and AP courses throughout his high school years. And in math and computer programming, we actually had to create specially accelerated courses to accommodate his strengths in those areas. He has never had a grade below an A, and not surprisingly, he earned entry into the Cum Laude Society and was recognized by the National Merit Scholar Program. Amidst an impressively able academic class, Dan attained this distinction by achieving an impressive GPA just shy of 4.5. Throughout his years here, Dan has received accolades for his intellectual prowess. In the 9th and 10th grades, he won the mathematics prizes. In his junior year, he again won the mathematics prize and was, in addition, named the Charles A. Pitkin Chemistry Prize Scholar. In addition to that, he won the Rensselaer Medal and the Julian H. Cherubini Prize for Scholastic Achievement. And just yesterday at Last Chapel, Dan earned the Fernand Lachance Award in recognition of his demonstrated intellectual curiosity in both the sciences and the humanities. Outside of Thayer, Dan has also pursued coursework at BU and distinguished himself by being named an intern at BU School of Medicine's Cardiovascular Proteomics Lab, where he did impressive work in customizing their database. I don't actually quite know what that means, but it sounds very impressive, and I'm sure it was. Reflecting his versatility, Dan has earned admissions to the Academy's most rigorous writing course, Voice, and he pursued his interest in architecture since freshman year. He is the president of our Games Club and is one of our most able mathletes. Dan has already accomplished much, and there is no doubt that Brown University will be happy to welcome him this fall. It is my pleasure to invite to the podium the valedictorian for the class of 2016, Dan Tardiff.
All right. Wow, it's going to be tough to follow Lawler. Headmaster Koskouris, Mr. Thompson, Board of Trustees, faculty, family, friends, and of course the class of 2016. Thank you and welcome. Wow, congratulations guys. It's been 4 years, more for a lot of us, but honestly it feels like just yesterday I was watching a school bus full of freshmen roll down a hill and smash into the side of a building. But in my time at Thayer, I've had exactly 2 experiences with public speaking. Once, my junior year, when I was advertising Thayer's board game club at Monday morning meeting. And once my senior year, when I was advertising Thayer's board game club at Monday morning meeting. And so far, I think a total of 2 of you have ever actually shown up. So I don't know what that says about my public speaking skills. But given this opportunity, I felt it only appropriate to take one last shot at advertising Thayer's board game club. Because it is my firm belief that everything we need to know in life can be learned from board games. And I think it's valuable to reflect on that for a moment before we move on with our lives. So here goes. Now, when I first think of board games, I think of games like chess, checkers, Monopoly, Scrabble, Clue, Risk, right? All of the classics. And to be good at any of these games, you really need to be good at strategic thinking. You need to be able to formulate a good plan and then follow through with that plan. If you just dive in with no idea where you're headed, you're going to play wastefully, and ultimately a lot of your moves are going to end up being pointless. But if you have a plan, a direction, then each move you make serves a purpose. But you also need to remain aware, because ultimately, at the end of the day, you're playing with other people. And if someone blocks you, stops you, or is just outpacing you in a different direction with a different strategy, you need to be able to analyze the situation, recognize that, and adjust your strategy. Sometimes completely abandon your strategy. Now, for us, moving on in life, a lot of us, like me, have no idea what we want out of life. And we're going to use the next few years to build our own plans, our own strategies. We're going to feel things out, pick majors, pick career paths, just like you formulate a strategy at the beginning of a game. Others of us already have a strategy. Maybe we know our major, maybe we know what career we want, maybe we know the exact position we wish to hold. But for those of us, we have to remain aware. We have to analyze and reanalyze and make sure that our plans are still working for us. And if they stop, we need to be able to look at them and readjust them, and sometimes give up on them. There's never any shame in changing your major. A lot of people do it. And there's never any shame in quitting anything that isn't working out for you. When my mother and my father met, my mom was a doctor and my dad was a lawyer. They'd gone through college, med school, law school, down traditional paths to stereotypically successful careers. But a few years down the line, they'd both quit. My mom decided she preferred being a mother to a lawyer, a mother to a doctor. And my dad decided that he preferred being, well, literally anything else to a lawyer. He hated it. And within a few years, they both found different professions that were more fulfilling for them. So I urge you to remember that if your strategy in life isn't working out, there's more than one way to win every game. However, representing life as a game like chess or checkers or any other pure strategy game is a little misleading, because in those games, you control your own fate. If you lost, it's because you played worse. No excuses, end of story. And that's kind of the beauty of the genre. But life is in many ways more like Yahtzee than chess. So many things are down to chance. So many things are just a roll of the dice. And sometimes the dice are on your side, right? Maybe you get into that class you really wanted. Maybe you get that job you've been dreaming about, or maybe you meet that special someone. But sometimes the dice aren't on your side. The death of a loved one, a career-ending injury or illness. Now, we all had our own experiences with luck this year in the college admissions process. But with the college admissions process, I'm pretty sure the dice thing is more than just a metaphor. At this point, I am convinced that there's an admissions officer back there with a pair of dice, just rolling away on each application. Hey, doubles. All right, we'll admit this one. But it is true that in life, you don't get to choose the cards you're dealt. You just get to play out the hand. So we can cry about not having the exact cards we wanted, or we can get up and make the best of them. And that brings me to my next point, which is that in all well-designed board games, the winner is not set in stone until the end, which makes sense if you think about it. Because if you're playing a game and 5 moves in, you can consistently say who the winner is going to be, the game's not going to be any fun at all. But a product of this design goal is that in board games, there really never is a good reason to give up, because you never know when you're out of it. So you're going to be behind at some point, maybe you're going to be behind for most of the game. But you don't flip the table, you don't storm away. You get in there, you focus in, and you try to come back, because you never know when it's over. And this is a very important thing in life as well, this perseverance. It's inherent and important for all of us to have. Because going forward, we're going to be facing a lot of obstacles. And like I said, some of those obstacles are just going to be bad luck, but some of them are going to be our fault. And we need to be able to take responsibility for those and to work hard to catch up and make up for our mistakes, and not to get angry and walk away. Now, as a class, we won Winter Wars our freshman and sophomore years. I mean, you knew I had to mention it at some point. It was going to come up. But our junior year, we lost. Our senior year, though, I think is the most important, because after being knocked down, after losing, we didn't give up. We didn't assume the attitude of, oh, you know, Winter Wars doesn't matter, I don't care about Winter Wars, too cool for that. That I think a lot of classes before us had. Instead, we dug in, we focused, and after 4 days of trailing, we came with a legendary come-from-behind victory for our 3rd title. And I think that this demonstrates the perseverance and commitment that define us as a class. Either that or we're a bunch of hardos who are freakishly good at jumping rope and at fitting way too many sweaty teenagers onto a tiny platform. Now, before I move on, something you should understand about Games Club is that it's run by our faculty advisor, Mr. Forrest, whom most of you probably already know as that one scary math teacher. I'm joking. Almost all the math teachers here are scary. But Mr. Forrest, apart from being an amazing teacher, mentor, and friend, is an avid collector of board games, hundreds of board games, and as such is the main supplier of Games Club, which means that a lot of weeks we'll be sitting around a table playing some obscure board game that none of us have ever heard of before except him. And often the best thing you can do is just kind of sit back, block out everyone else, look at him and go, okay, what is his strategy? What is he trying to do? What are his goals, his aims? And if you can puzzle that out, you have a solid shot at second place. But that's an important thing in life too, because there's always going to be someone around that you can learn from. Now, I've been playing chess since I was 6, and at this point I consider myself a pretty decent player. So when I was visiting Brown about 2 months back, and they had a chess and Scrabble night, I was all over it. I walked in and I was like, awesome, this is gonna be a good time. And I came upon these 2 players, prospective students, who were actual ranked chess masters. And they were playing bullet chess, which is chess where each player has 1 minute to make all of his or her moves. And I swear to God, I can't even move my arm that fast. It was ridiculous. I felt like a complete idiot. It was a really humbling experience for me. But I think in the coming years, this isn't going to be unique to me, right? Take Pat Lawler. This fall, Lawler was the biggest guy out on that football field. And from my experience with 2 years of JV football, tell me, okay, it is not a good feeling lining up against Lawler before the snap. It ranks right down there with like getting put on your ass by Lawler 5 seconds later. He's a complete beast, we'll leave it at that. But at Villanova, they're D1, right? He's not going to be the biggest guy on that field anymore, which is hard to imagine right now, I know, but it's true. There are a lot of strong, skilled players there. And I know Lawler well enough to know that he's going to use that to better himself and to better his own game. Or you can take Nick Hanflick, right? Nick Hanflick is a legend in the computer science department here at Thayer. He's one of the original technology fellows, shockingly. And also, I mean, you should see the work he put in on his website last semester that he built. It's some good stuff. But next year at WPI, they're a strong tech school. And somehow it seems like everyone I know who's going there is going there for computer science. So I can guarantee you that there are going to be kids there doing some crazy next level stuff. But that's just it. Whoever you are, wherever you're going, and whatever you're good at, I can bet you that there's someone waiting there for you who is way better at it, and you can learn from them. And whether that's a professor, or a coach, or one of your peers, or whether that's just someone who's played the game before, if we're smart, we'll take advantage of those opportunities. We'll learn from those of us around us who have more experience. And we won't be too afraid or too proud to ask for help. But hopefully this goes both ways too, because I know we all have a lot to learn, and we can all learn a lot from those around us. But I also know that each of us as individuals has a lot to give, whether that's knowledge or whether that's any form of help or support. We're going to be breaking out into 100 different communities next year. And to be important, valuable members of those communities, we need to be able to come together, work together, and cooperate. Now, teamwork is not traditionally a defining characteristic of board games. And I know that for some people, honestly, the fun from board games just comes from having an excuse to give everyone a hard time. Mr. Forrest, perhaps you can relate to that. But I think you might be surprised by just how much cooperation goes into board games. Whether all the players are working towards a common goal, or whether they're ultimately competing, but have to trade and help each other out along the way. You'll find that alliances and agreements are actually an integral part of board games. Now, here at Thayer, we've practiced this teamwork and cooperation on the fields, on the courts, on the stage, and in the classroom. We've come together to win Winter Wars like 20 times, like I said. I mean, you're going to be hearing about that a lot today. And I hope that in the future, we can continue to work with each other respectfully and effectively, not only to form stronger communities wherever you're going to end up, but because as a society and as a country, if we're going to get anything done, we really do have to get it done together. And I think that that's something a lot of people have lost sight of recently. So at this point, despite almost none of you coming to Games Club this year, I think I've pretty much caught you up on what I've learned. And now I can do nothing more than congratulate you on everything we've achieved together and wish you the best of luck going forward. Thank you. Oh, and one more thing. Games Club meets on Wednesdays in 201 Glover. Our faculty advisor is Mr. Forrest. If you have any questions, you can email him or myself. And if you're in town next year for any reason, feel free to stop by and have some fun. Maybe learn a bit about life. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. I think it's fair to say